Hey everybody, it's Elia Bella, biohacking pioneer of the Philippines. I'm also the founder of Germanische Heilkunde and the 5 biological laws of nature in the Philippines. So there's COVID cases again, and we all know from Germanische Heilkunde, which to me is the greatest biohack there is because we know the manual to the human psyche, how our brain works, and how the rest of the biology follows that psyche wherever it goes. The psyche is kind of like the antenna for safety or danger in the world, which we evolved billions of years is really to vet danger and to know what safety means and to grow and thrive in safety, but to perform and use up our tissues and energy during danger. So that's pretty much how we evolved. It's an archaic code in our biology. We evolved over billions of years to be who we are today. And we are constantly trying to evolve, but somehow we reached a point where we were made to believe that our bodies are making mistakes and that they are attacking us. That's like the worst concept there is, because if our bodies were attacking us, then how did we survive over billions of years when actually nature and life is all about how to self create, self regenerate, self balance, and self organize to become as robust as we can be, to defy death, to defy being too fragile? What is the very point? It was so easy for us to die, and if our bodies were attacking itself, why would it be attacking itself? Just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, we wanted to talk about COVID. So there are COVID cases again, and of course, the mere fact that we're anchoring fear over an experience that was a very real life experience that we all collectively as a planet experienced over 2, 3 years, right? And so we already anchored fear around that term COVID. And it's safe to say that people will use COVID as a way to trigger fear. Fear is a mind control component, and it is a way to monetize our bodies as the commodities or products or opportunities to generate wealth, right? It's because there is this primal fear. We have a limbic brain, which is attached to our reptilian evolution of fight or flight. And that is in one of the oldest parts of our brain that will trigger survival responses. And it's still there, it is still there. However, we forget that we evolved a newer brain, and that is attached to our mammalian structure and our mammalian ways of connecting with each other, in that our safe social bonds are what keeps us away from danger. And mammals evolved 256 million years ago from our reptilian ancestors. And I would argue that we are older than what we've been made to believe, that humans evolved only 4 million years ago. I would say it's even before that. Horses are seen to have evolved 56 million years ago, though there are older ancestors than that. And it was really this structure, this biosocial structure, that nature decided we need to be nested in these social structures in order to ensure the species survival. Why? Because we all take care of each other. We take care of the weak, the elderly, the young, the injured. And that's how we ensure that we all survive together. So it's a co-regulation, and it's a biology of belonging. In these territorial or survival adaptations, which we call diseases in conventional speak, we actually call them sensible biological special programs. And these programs or diseases are actually survival responses to a perceived danger. And when we see these headlines on social media or in media outlets, it triggers this archaic response of fear in the limbic brain. So the amygdala picks up this sense of fear. So it doesn't matter if we are in modern times, the body's archaic evolution, archaic biology doesn't know the difference between an extinction event with meteors and asteroids hitting the earth and there are dinosaurs all over, and an event that was created by headlines on social media saying that there will be earthquakes. There will be the big one happening in Manila because it hit us in this particular region in Davao. And there's a big one in Pasig happening, or in Metro Manila. And everybody is like waiting for the big one. So it's like an impending fear. right? And that triggers the amygdala to go into all sorts of survival responses, even though it's not real. It's a perceived fear, it's an imaginary fear, but it feels real because we went through a fear program before and we actually felt what it feels like to be in danger. And it's scary. And of course, COVID made that so real for us because everybody was in this state of fear. There were lockdowns and everything. And what is COVID exactly? COVID is also known as, it's another label for the flu. The flu is a cluster of different conflicts, right? The most common symptoms would be phlegmy cough, would sometimes be fever or fatigue. So it's all of those cluster of different symptoms that actually reflect different biological conflicts in the body. But we often label it all together as the flu. The core biological conflict is a territorial fear or a scare fright conflict. And in the healing phase, it can be bronchitis or it can be laryngitis with a sore throat. Now, it depends on what your psyche perceived and where the conflict would land. However, more often than not, we look at it as a phlegmy bronchitis and a feeling of malaise and a feeling of tiredness. And just that feeling of I'm sick. So, what is a territorial fear? A territorial fear is an impending danger or a doom where you feel that you might not have the resources to overcome this danger. Whatever it is, the psyche perceived it to be something that is looming and coming. And I don't know if I have enough resources to allay this danger that's coming. And of course, it's an imagined perceived danger, right? So a territorial fear can be different for each person. And then that's the reason that not everybody in the same household will get the flu. Not everybody in the same household will have the same symptoms of the flu. What is a territorial fear? Territorial fear could be exactly what COVID produced, which is an impending danger of this deadly virus that might hit me and my loved ones. And I don't feel I have the resources to overcome this deadly virus. Of course, it's an imagined deadly virus. It was painted as deadly by social media. In social media, we saw photos of people in hospitals and ambulances and people dying and people in hazmat suits and everything, painting this dangerous picture of this deadly virus that is going to come and get you, right? And you feel, oh, I don't think I have the resources or the immunity to allay this deadly virus. So a lot of us who were not in this fear mode or were not triggered, we didn't trigger this survival response by the social media fear mongering, did not get the biological conflict of a territorial fear activated by these headlines. But a lot of the people who got it were definitely in this territorial fear conflict, right? And then it got worse and worse because there were other conflicts that were triggered by the territorial fear conflict in the healing phase known as the flu. Safe to say, if you just thought it was a hoax or you were not afraid of disease and you believe that your immunity is super strong and that you are very resilient, you did not get COVID, right? Like myself, I didn't get COVID. Even if I was surrounded by people around me coughing, people around me, actually, there were people that died in my vicinity and, people that went into the places who had COVID and I went into the same places they did, I didn't at all feel that I was in any danger. I didn't get COVID at all. But people were very afraid, and that virus is really the fear mongering in social media. Instead of social media saying, don't worry, you've got this. Why? Because this is not your first rodeo. Likely when you were a kid, you had the flu. likely you had a time in your childhood when you were in bed for 7 days, you had a fever, you had a cough, and you had malaise, and you were okay right after that. You took vitamin C, you took some medicine, and you were given chicken soup, and you were made to rest, and you were super okay. So if the headlines kind of told us that you have the resources to overcome this flu, then you would be okay. You would be okay. Why? Because your psyche would be relieved and you wouldn't be placed in that survival response of fear and the belief that you don't have the immunity, nor the resources, nor the experience to allay this virus. Right. So, but if the headlines were different and they were encouraging and empowering and soothing and relieving, likely the whole world would have also been soothed and comforted and confident and empowered to get over this. Okay, so now we got over COVID, thank goodness. But actually, I also have a timeline of headlines that will demonstrate exactly how the headlines can predict or can cause either fear and COVID and flu symptoms, or no COVID symptoms, no fear. Everybody is safe, even if we are elbow to elbow. Okay. And these are the headlines that I demonstrated during the election in February of 2022, where there were headlines and there were people and there were rallies around where people were head to head and elbow to elbow, but there was no outbreak or any pandemic. Why? Because the headline said right before that, everything is okay. There's no sign of any viral outburst. There's no danger of any pandemic or GCQ or any lockdown. Don't worry, guys. So, it kind of allayed the fears that when you go out there, there's not going to be any contagion. There's not going to be any deadly virus. So don't worry. Everything will be okay. And what happened? Everybody went out in droves. Thousands of people went out head to head, and there was no pandemic, no lockdown that resulted from that. So now people are asking, so what is this outbreak right now, this COVID outbreak in Quezon City? Of course, what is it? What is the territorial fear that is being triggered collectively by the headlines? That would be the fear around earthquakes. Yes, we did experience a big earthquake in Davao, in Jensan, but what resulted after that was the fear of earthquakes around you, where there's a fault in Pasig and the big one is coming. And of course, again, that is an impending danger that we believe we don't have the resources to survive. So the big one, they're devastating photos in Venezuela and recently in Benguet, and there's a super typhoon coming. All of these territorial fears are being triggered in the collective, right? We see that in the headlines, and people believe that they don't have the resources or the knowledge or experience to allay or to help themselves survive in case it hits. But it never really hits, right? It doesn't hit. The super typhoon, there was supposed to be a big one. There's none. But the biological conflict of territorial fear was triggered anyway. The relief that, oh, there's none, that healing phase is labeled as the flu. Okay, you get an itchy throat, or you have a fever, you have a phlegmy cough, you feel malaise, and all of that. This is all in the healing phase of the triggered biological conflict of territorial fear. So once again, you see the commonality, right? A territorial fear is different with every person. A territorial fear can be exams for, a kid in grade 6, because that territorial fear is like, oh, I have to pass all of these exams or else I might not be able to be allowed to play in the summertime, right? Or I need to pass all of these exams or else I'm going to take summer school and that's going to take away my my territory of being able to play with my friends or being able to go on vacation with my family. And once that territorial fear is, and they believe, that kid believes that they don't have the resources or experience, or they have to really, really step it up in order to protect their territory of that free playtime during the summer. And once that biological conflict is triggered by the exams, after the exams are over and after passing all of the exams, the psyche goes, okay, conflict is over. Let's go into the healing phase. What is the healing phase? The flu. So the kid will go through like a week of really severe flu, but it can also happen the other way. From summer school, school is going to start in a week or two. I have a territorial fear of I cannot see my friends anymore. I don't have my free time to do everything that I want to do, which is to play with all my toys, play my video games, hang out with my family. Now it's school and my family is stricter when there is school. They don't play with me. They don't allow me to watch YouTube or screens or anything when there is school. It's like I can't stand school. So that triggers again 2 weeks before school starts. And when school starts, they have no choice but to go. So they either surrender, just release the conflict, and then they get all sorts of symptoms of the flu when school starts. So it depends. You see, a lot of people get the flu during Christmas time or during New Year's time when it's cold. People hate the cold and then they can't do anything about it and they get sick, the cold symptoms. Or people go on vacation during Christmas time, then come back home in January. It's time to go back to work and they get the flu symptoms. So again, all of this it's a territorial fear. It's a fear of this impending thing. I don't want it to come because I want my territory to be safe with me and my territory is going to be threatened. Whatever that territory is, it could be my free time or a true safety, my safety, or because of an earthquake or a typhoon. My house is not safe, my kids are not safe, or it's going to take away from spending time with my family because school is going to be closed, or my friends because school is going to be closed, there's going to be flooding again, things like that. So it's a perception of danger. And of course, that is planted by a lot of these headlines. And then we have memories of going through these disasters and it comes back again. It's an extended track and the hippocampus stores these memories and triggers a performance or a survival response for our safety. That's just how we are wired. So, after all of that, what is really the way to ensure that we're immune to these headlines is to understand is to stay present, be here now. In the here and now, right this second, you are very safe. This isn't your first rodeo. You've been here before. Every single year, headlines like these are always being flashed. An earthquake here, a typhoon here, and everything. And yet you end the year feeling very safe, being safe. It never really happened. It's to understand, stay present. Don't allow yourself to be pulled by the fear that is caused by your imagination that there is this danger. It's a perceived imagination. It's not a real danger. Of course, it's different. When there's real mortal danger right in front of you, you could be in danger. There's a car coming at you. There's a burglar trying to get stuff from you, or there's a wild animal that is charging at you. Then your fear is well placed, right? That's what it's for. Your fear, your amygdala is well placed and it will mobilize you to run or hide. At least you use the energy at that time. And when you get into a healing phase, you feel fatigue and everything, your tissues that were used, the muscles that were burned, they're now being healed in the recovery phase and you are being made to have fatigue so that you can stay put and sleep and then repair those muscles and tissues, right? That's what it's for. But more often than not, the fear that we're experiencing is imagined. It's a perceived fear. It's a planted fear by all of these headlines. So the real way to stay immune to it is to have immunity against these headlines that are fear mongering. Stay very present. Be in the here and now. Understand that you are safe. Be socially engaged. Be in that place where you can still talk and discuss and converse. Other people like myself, a life coach, human potential coach. I'm here to allay your fears. I'm here to have that conversation with you to say that and to ask the question, are you really in danger or is it imagined? Is it worth placing your nervous system in fight or flight when the enemy is not there, when the enemy is an imagined one? It's best to be in that socially engaged state where you can talk and converse and that you are actually very safe where you are. 95% of the time, you are in safety. And so to come back to that place in the nervous system, the ventral vagal state, which we call social engagement, be able to talk, co regulate with others, discuss it, and really ask the right questions. Is it right to be in this state? Is the danger real? Is it perceived? What good will it do that I am in fear right now, right here, where I'm actually safe and it's quiet? People are laughing around me. Everything is okay. I am in a present state, right? If there's danger, I can move my nervous system to a state of appropriate response of fight or flight because there really is danger that I have to flee from or fight to protect myself, self defense. But in that state where there's no real danger, I can be in calm and presence, not absent mindedness, but in a state of self empowerment, personal power of presence. I am safe in the here and now. I am okay right here, right now. And I can breathe, sigh of relief. This is the state that allows your psyche to protect you from whatever biological adaptation there is, which could end up in the flu or in any other state where we label it as a physical condition or disease. You are powerful where you are. Understand how you are wired and know that the medicine is right here. Psyche fitness. Psyche fitness is the key to immunity. Psyche fitness is where you need to be. Stay in the here and now, conserve your energy, and understand that you are safe and you are powerful where you are. This is not your first rodeo. You go through this every single year. So why should you keep going through it again and again? Change something. Change the psyche. What's in between the ears? Believe you are created strong. Believe that your potential is unlimited. Believe that you are powerful. And that's my message for today.